Juried's art space. I have a question before we start. My name is Kim Sorensen. I'm the executive director here. The speakers here would like to remove their masks while speaking. Are you okay with that? Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for coming out. I know it's sometimes a hard decision during these times. 2020 and especially right now is quite interesting. I want to thank you, all the artists, for coming out here. I want to thank you for submitting your work to this Juried show. We were not sure at the beginning how many people would respond because of the tragedy to humanity that 2020 is right now. And I know it's difficult during these times to be creative and be proactive and positive. But I want to thank you very, very much for what you're doing. Because guess what? People like me who appreciate the arts, right now you are that momentary break, a momentum of mental break from what's going on every day. And that's what we need more than ever. So thank you. I want to thank you guys first. Now, officially, welcome to the 12th annual Juried show. I want to have to thank our sponsors who make this happen, especially during these times. The arts are forgotten sometimes, but our sponsors step up to the plate as they always do. It's the City of Lynchburg, Member One Federal Credit Union, Mark Miller, who will come and present actually today, and then Lynn Shapiro. Lynn Shapiro, my dear, is a local real estate agent, also great supporter of the arts. So thank you very much to these organizations and individuals for supporting the arts. That's actually my entire speech. I just wanted to really thank you guys for coming out, for working during these times to keep producing and keep being creative. And I hope we will have a show, I'm not sure, sometime that will show the results of your work during these times. Thank you very much. And I'd like to welcome Brooke. Brooke is our curator. She does a fantastic job making sure all of your work is very lovely and very visible and has its impact because of her curating skills. Thanks. Brooke Larson. Oh my goodness, thank you everybody. First time all day. I mean, if anybody knows how to wear glasses and a mask at the same time? No, please, I have not figured that one out yet. Again, to reiterate what Kim said, thank you all for participating in our Juried show. And Jeffrey and I had a really good conversation before we opened about the importance of small community nonprofit arts centers, not just to our community, but the communities beyond. A lot of us, myself included, get our start showing in places like Riverview. And it can really be a place that gives you the support and self-confidence to see your dreams come true. And I'm an example of that, standing right here. If I hadn't had the support from a community nonprofit and all of the local artists, I don't know that I would have made it and seen my dreams come true. And I did. So thank you all for participating. I did a great job of introducing our juror this year. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much for coming and doing this. He drove up from DC this morning, and I think you're driving back tonight. Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness! So he's actually only going to be in Lynchburg for a couple hours.
I'll be back.
You'll be back.
Post play. So.
Okay, he's going to come back. He's going to come visit us, and perhaps we can all spend more time together. Good. Thank you so much. So Jeffry Cudlin is a DC-based artist all might not recognize the name like that when you actually say it. Cudlin previously served as Director of Exhibitions for the Arlington Arts Center in Arlington, Virginia, and as a member of the Board of Trustees for the Contemporary, which is Baltimore's romantic art museum without walls. Jeffrey's exhibition reviews have appeared in the Washington Post, the Washington City Paper, and Sculpture Magazine. Jeffrey served as museum critic for the Washington City Paper for 13 years, starting in 2004. In 2009 and 2008, Jeffrey was awarded first place Alt Weekly Awards for art criticism. Jeffrey Cudlin received his MFA from the University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland. So it is my absolute pleasure to introduce to you all our juror this year, Jeffrey Cudlin. Thank you, Jeffrey, so much.
Thank you so much. It's first off, I'm really excited to be here in a real space with artists looking at real work. Just such a rare thing these days, I feel like. I feel like we have been bouncing around from one outdoor socially distanced mass event to one Zoom call after another. And there is such a value and such a premium on experiencing work and communicating with each other in real space. And while we can't do it on the scale we once did, we have to still find a way to sort of engineer opportunities for these exchanges. I want to reflect or highlight one thing that Brooke was saying about the important work of sort of nonprofits and the sort of nonprofit strata of the art world ecosphere. It's something that I feel really strongly about, like the work of a place like Riverviews and the places that I have had the fortune to work with or have had my students work with in their projects that they do, is that really in the nonprofit arts world, arts community, arts venues, in a lot of ways that is the front end of the discourse, the place where people are really figuring out how art and life meaningfully intersect. And historically, if you go back to the culture wars, you go back to the early 1990s, and the ideas that began to emerge in shows by Thelma Golden at the Whitney, the controversial 93 Biennial, or Black Male, or all of these other shows, were ideas that were seeping up from the nonprofit art world. There's a sense in which a lot of the people who work in these venues don't have the time to think about their legacy or about the value of these spaces in their community, but that value is huge. So I'm always happy to be here and champion. And this is just such a great place in terms of educational programs and exhibitions and studios. I just can't be happier. I'm also happy to be in Lynchburg. I did grow up here, so I spent the 70s and the 80s here and then left, and I occasionally come back because my mother, Kathy Cudlin, is still here, and a docent at the mayor and a photographer. And I have to say the place has definitely changed, as demographically perhaps as the electoral returns seem to indicate. I'm happy to be here and happy to be with all of you. I guess I want to say a couple of words about picking art for a non-medium specific, non-thematic show, and like why these pieces ended up being in a room together, which is always a difficult thing when you are picking your initial pass via slides and then seeing the actual work to judge your winners. Those are always sort of disconnected experiences which seem to underscore the real need to feel these pieces in person, to see light penetrating the surface, to actually just even breathe the air of the thing, to say something about it. But I was talking to a couple of wonderful photographers a minute ago about the novelty of having photography in a non-photography driven show. And I guess if I just had to explain generally for how we all got here, when I'm looking at this work, I'm asking myself with each piece, if every artist is making an argument about what work in a particular medium ought to be like, about what their relationship to a set of materials or a medium is, about the aptness of those materials or that medium to the subject they're trying to explore, about their relationship to their peers, other people doing this work right now, and their relationship to history. So when I'm looking at an image, I'm asking, like, what is this person arguing that this kind of artwork ought to be? What does it need to say? What can be said in this medium, and are they doing it in a way that shows they know who their ancestors are, they know who their peers are, even if that whole discourse is happening inside their head, in their sequestered space, in their private studio practice. So based on the images, these were a group of people who, for each one, I saw someone who it seemed to me I could tease out what their argument was and who their connections were. And I've been very sort of pleasantly pleased and surprised to see those connections now in person. If I had anything else to say, I guess I would just say that I really do feel like there is no substitute for these sort of in-person experiences with art. And I know we're in a really tough time right now where it feels like we can't bring a large social gathering together and everyone wants to pivot to online. But my hope is that we're going to sort of blend our way forward and continue to find ways to have smaller, more intimate engagements to talk about the important things that you're doing and find ways to have those engagements reach more people who can't be there. And I know things will become less tricky, but they'll never quite be the same again. And I just hope that we can all sort of learn a new and more flexible way to be in space and not in space together going forward. And beyond that, I just want to thank you all for the opportunity to look at your work, to think about your work, and to spend time with it here. And thank you to all of you.
I had a master taking the mask off in classes. So, I am Meg Weston. I'm the assistant curator here at Juried, and I'm going to announce the winners. All of you have come to the scheme. We just want to thank again the sponsors of the convention, Lynn Shapiro, Mark Miller, and Number One Credit Union for sponsoring these awards and our show and just our organization. It's invaluable. So first off, we have one honorable mention.